Hey guys, it's Becca Gamer or Rebecca. Welcome back to my channel, my lovelies. I hope you're having an amazing day today, and if you're new to my channel, hi, thank you for stopping by. Let's get into this video. Today in this video, I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I read in March. We have acquired a new area. This is, I don't want to call it a shrine, but it's basically a shrine for my late best friend Angel here. But right next to it, she guards all of my red books. Ta-da! There's some down here too, on the bottom shelf. And there's also a top shelf. So you can see 3 of the shelves. So I'm actually an idiot. And I forgot, I was so caught up in like my 2, 3, 3.5 star ratings in February. And like what I was gonna title it and all these things that I did not mention the 4th book that I read in February, which was Deadly Legacy by Marcia Honeycutt Roseman, who is actually a local author, which is what this little tab says. I actually know Marcia when I worked at my local coffee shop and bookstore. She was a regular customer there. And if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure she started writing her book while I was working there. I don't work there anymore, but I was so happy when I found out that she came with her first book and it's signed. I'm just so proud of her for this. So it is April at this point. If you are participating in the Greater Charlotte Book Crawl, when you go to Editions in Kannapolis, North Carolina, they do have copies of this. I do recommend that you pick it up. This is Marcia's debut novel. It's her first ever book, and it's a murder mystery. It's about, in the beginning, an unnamed woman. She is brutally murdered, and they have a lead detective who is a male. And then they have another detective coming in, but she's technically working up to be a detective. She's not a full detective yet. This is her first case that she's doing on the ground in the field. And I said she because this is placed in 1968. And so women aren't allowed to do a lot of things. Their rights are very limited. But she's allowed to become, or at least try to become, a detective. And that's a lot of topic in this book, or I guess a theme in this book, is about women in a field of, you know, mostly men, a male-dominated field. I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed the dynamic between the 2 characters. It wasn't, like, boring. It wasn't, oh my god, I expected that. I really enjoyed where the story went. I still think about the story. It is a pretty short story, so I mean, it's simple to get through. And like I said, I really do recommend it. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. To keep myself organized, I'm going to use my old phone like I do. And we are going to talk about all of the books that I read in March. So the first book I read in March is actually by an author that I really enjoy. If you can tell here, I have multiple books by Kate Alice Marshall. The one I read in March is The Narrow. The little blurb is, "They say what the river takes never returns. They are wrong." I still think about this story. I would say Kate Alice Marshall is more of a mystery writer, and her mysteries are very interesting. It's not super boring, but I would say a lot of it is character based. There's a lot of character development in these type of books. They are young adults, so they're normally young adults about young adults. But it's still really, really enjoyable for me. And if you're wondering / interested, it does have a girl-girl relationship in here, so that's really exciting. If you don't know what it's about, it's basically about this academy, this school basically. There's a narrow. It's a river that, I guess it's like a small creek, and it kind of expands and then it goes into a huge river, and it's on the school property. And I'm pretty sure it is recorded, if I remember correctly. Someone has, or multiple people have been swept away by the narrow and have died, and anyone who goes in does not come out, and that's what the blurb is about. One of our characters, as the blurb says, it's not true. Homegirl made it out, and you gotta figure out whom's it was. And we have our main character, Eden, And then our second main character, Delphine, I really like honestly, everything about their relationship. I really, really enjoyed their relationship, and both of them trying to figure out the mystery while one of them is cooped up in her room because she's literally allergic to water. This was very interesting. I really liked how this was done. 4 out of 5 stars. Listen, you guys, don't hate me for this next one. We have, gotta move 0 over. I finally read the Song of Achilles. Everyone knows what this is. Not everyone knows the story of Achilles, and I think that's where majority of the hype is coming from. I could be wrong. But I feel like if you know Achilles and his story and how it goes, this wasn't that emotional because I knew what was I knew I didn't remember the details, of course, so like I remembered / learned a good bit in a Greek mythology way, but I didn't cry. No heartstring was pulled. And it wasn't like a slow burn romance, it was just slow. Because like normally in a slow burn, you have romance. This is just slow. It's about one character or the other, and we get bits and pieces and little moments of both male main characters being together, and it's great and it's nice and blah blah blah, but a lot of it is of them separated, especially during the war. And I wasn't infatuated with their relationship. I wasn't super into it. I mean, great, I support it, but it wasn't like by the ending when things were high strung or whatever, like I wasn't strung. I was sat, not on the edge of my seat because I already knew. So 3 out of 5 stars. Just 3. So sorry. Not sorry. The next book I'm actually not keeping, so that's not good. It's not going on this shelf. Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. Basically, it's another nanny story, and you get drawings in this book from the kid that our main character, the nanny, is babysitting. But obviously, the drawings go from kid-like to not very kid-like, and so on and so forth. And there's this whole mystery going on. The main character is a unlikable main character, but I still enjoyed thoroughly from reading from her perspective. But everything else and what was going on, it was boring to me. It wasn't that interesting to me. I felt like the mystery, it was trying to like shove you hard in a certain direction, like, hey, believe this, believe this, believe this. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna believe that. That's so stupid. But maybe that was just me. Now, when we talk about the ending, say what you want, fight with your mama, not me. I'm not gonna spoil it, but the plot twist as to, because you know the ending, it's like action packed and boom bow, but then when you learn like the plot twist and then you get to the last chapter, which I think is an epilogue or some bullshit, nar actually no no, it made me feel gross. It made me feel icky. And I was like, okay, are you gonna unickify my ick? Are you gonna unick me? Like, okay, what's going on with this last chapter / epilogue? No conversation. Like, hey, we kind of like, we support you. Fist bump. that's the conversation. Books are subjective. People are gonna think whatever they think when they read a book, and that ain't got nothing to do with me. But what I can talk about is what I think about a damn book, and that ending needed a lot more conversation about this plot twist, because that was just bad taste, in my opinion. But it wasn't an absolute terrible book, so I can't give it a 1, so I give it 2 stars. I'm gonna pass this on. Somebody else can read it. Goodbye. Gotta move Jack here. Reach all the way to the top. This Is Not the End by Chandler Baker. Mr. or Mrs. Baker, I don't know you. You write like a dude. Is that terrible to say? Like, have you ever read female main characters and you're like, this reads like a man wrote a female main character. Don't get your panties in a twist. I love male authors. I think male authors can do an amazing job with female main characters, but there's just some female main characters that stick out, and it's just like, a woman did not write this. You know what I mean? Might be out of pocket. That's how I felt about the female main character in this book, and she's not the only character that I felt weird about. The concept of this book is basically when you turn 18, you can resurrect someone that has passed away. You can only do one person, you can't do more, and if you don't decide when you turn 18, you ain't got no more chances, okay? Our female main character, she has promised that resurrection before she turned 18 to her brother because of her family, basically. But then, as the synopsis says, I'm not giving anything away, a few weeks before her 18th birthday, she gets in a wreck with her best friend and boyfriend, and they both pass away. So the whole book, she is juggling with the idea of who do I resurrect? And I thought that was a very interesting book, or concept, whatever. This book has been on my TBR for over 3 years, so I was very excited to get to it. But the characters were fine to me. They weren't the best. The character development was understandable, but kind of dry for me. It wasn't the worst, but there was not as much redeemable / good qualities as I would have hoped. So I gave it 2.5 stars. I feel like a big part of this book was the writing for me. The writing, it was hard for me to stay in the story. So yeah. The next book. All of these you can't see. This was a bad idea. A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. Can we just appreciate how pretty this cover is? That's why I picked it up. And the synopsis is another fucking school synopsis. So I was like, Rebecca, are you even gonna enjoy this? Because I'm honestly getting tired of reading about people at schools or academies or mansions, all that hoopla. I feel like I've read so many stories about that kind of thing. But this one, our main character actually leaves the college and she goes to stay at this estate. So, I mean, but for real, it's just like a 2-story house. It's not really an estate. So it is what it is. Point being, she's an architectural student because at this time in this world, women are not allowed in a lot of colleges and a lot of studies, and one of those being literature. So the next highest study that she could get in allowed for women was architecture. So that's why she's an architecture student. And basically she gets invited to the house of her favorite author because the house needs to be completely remodeled. And I'm like, that's interesting. I was worried that it would be too architecture building-esque, but it's not. I really enjoyed this. It's a really cool concept. I really enjoy like the world and like the rules they have. I'm pretty sure there's a map in the second book, but it's not hard to try and follow along and figure out the world. You don't get too much world building. You're not dumped with a whole bunch of information in this book, which I really enjoyed. I do really enjoy the writing. very sophisticated. It goes with like the literature college vibe. You have your second main character, Preston. I really enjoyed Preston. And the second book to this one is mainly about Preston, so I'll get into that in just a second. Now, before I say anything else, I do want to go with a trigger warning. I don't know what the triggers are for this book, but if you cannot read about pills and borderline, if not full-on substance abuse, abusing, taking too many pills, don't read this. Do not read this. Do not read this. I'm so serious. Do not read this. Other than that, read it. Read it. I definitely read it. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. What I actually liked about this book was that the cliffhanger was just a sentence. Preston ended up hearing something and he admitted to it at the end of the book. And it's just like, it's not this big like that makes me want to read the second book. It's just like, oh my god, Preston, trust issues and don't believe nothing unless there's evidence. Preston. So you want to know what I did? I read the second book. I actually had to order it. I ordered it off a book outlet, so it's like $11 on book outlet. You best go check. I'll leave a link if I remember. So while I waited for that book to come in, I read a short memoir. Go on up here with Matt Haig. I have Reasons to Stay Alive. This is actually his memoir. This is such a cute little book. I love how small it is. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. This book really showed that like he had the mentality to really be able to write The Midnight Library, which is one of my favorite books of all time. He really dealt with depression and anxiety and so many other things. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but like from this book, obviously, like he went through so much, because anyone can write about mental health, but not everyone has gone through it. So to be able to hear his story and hear what he's been through and how he's been coping since, and different reasons to stay alive after going through everything that he's been through, it was just so interesting to read. If you like his books or you like him as an author, I would definitely recommend reading this. The most pretty book of all, A Theory in Dreaming by Ava Reed. Be so for real. It's not over. Gorgina, okay? Like I said earlier, this book is the second one. It is mostly about Preston and his mental journey, and I really enjoyed reading from it. I don't know if I enjoyed this one technically more than the first one. I enjoyed them both equally. I did give both of them 4 out of 5 stars, but I feel like the content, like what was going on, was lesser, because at the end of the day we're reading about dreaming, so he was sleeping a good bit of this book, but still what was going on was still very interesting, and it was enough to keep my interest peaked to even like read through even maybe the slower parts of the book. But I feel like if you had any inkling of enjoying the first book and you liked the pace of the first book, you would enjoy this. I'm just so happy that I read both of these. I'm so happy that I have such beautiful books on my shelf, and I'm so happy that both of these books thoroughly talked about women and the way women are treated and the way women are limited, even though we are so fucking powerful. I really enjoyed these. I definitely think you guys should read them. And yeah, that is all for today's video. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Now, I will say the next video coming up is probably going to be a book haul. I've gotten all the books from Book Outlet and World of Books, which is a used books website. I'm going to show you guys everything that I got. I'm so freaking stoked. I cannot wait to show you guys. And also, if you want, go ahead and check out my TikTok right now I am posting TikToks every day that I'm going to do the Greater Charlotte book crawl. It's going to take me about 3 or 4 days to do it, so I'm bringing you guys along with me on TikTok, so check that out if you can. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like, comment if you can, subscribe if you want to see more from me. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye!